Hello everybody, today we're doing a video for GTA Car Kits in a 2017 Mercedes S-Class, and today we're going to be showing you how to install our AndroidAuto Apple CarPlay module. Here we have our iPhone, it's already paired to the module, and everything original will stay working the same, you will not lose any functions. So now we're going to press the back button to get to our extra mode that's been added, and as you can see here, that's Apple CarPlay, so you're able to control everything through your original controls. To listen to music, it will play music through your auxiliary, USB auxiliary, and like I said, you can also do Android Auto. So now we're going to show you how to install it. So the tools that you're going to need is a T20 Torx screwdriver, T30 a Torx screwdriver, a small screwdriver for small connections, some sort of hook tool removal, and the regular panel removal tool. So we're going to start with over here with the cup holders. So we're gonna unclip this clip and remove the plastic. Then we're gonna go underneath and remove this rubber piece. Underneath you're gonna see two bolts, and they're both T30, so we're gonna go ahead and remove them. So these are what the two bolts look like, so we're gonna go ahead and put them aside. Next step is to lower this piece down, and over here there's this plastic piece that covers the DVD changer. So we're going to use our hook tool to get underneath and unhook it. So like that. So there's three clips at the bottom, two at the sides. Next we're going to open this compartment, and we're going to use again our T20 screwdriver, and over here right there's a bolt, and same on the other side. So these are what they look like, and now we can put them aside and remove this whole piece. So it helps if you kind of get it to this point and lift it up and pull out. And over here you have one connection, so we're gonna press on it, release and remove, and we're gonna put it aside right now. So now we're at the back of the car. There's two more bolts holding this center piece, so we're gonna get to them. So we're going to use our panel removal tool, and we're going to remove this, the vents. And over here there's a small clip that you have to squeeze with your almost fingernail and remove it. Next we're going to use our small screwdriver and remove the connections. So there's the yellow one. The release clip is very small on the side here. Next is this black clip, so it has the clip right here, black connector. Then there's the blue one, the connector underneath, the release clip underneath. Once we do that, we're gonna use our fingers and grab on this panel underneath and remove it. And again, there's one more connector. And to release it, you have a clip here. So we're going to put it to the side. And once we do that, we're going to see two more bolts, and they're both T30, and we're going to go ahead and remove them right now. And the bolts look like this. They're the same T30 bolts that we removed in the front under the cup holder. So once we remove all the bolts, now the center console can come out. So we're going to start by lifting it at the back and moving it towards the back, because here you have these two hooks that kind of go underneath and behind the dashboard. That's why we're lifting it up from the back. And now we're going to move it back to give us space to get to the radio that's underneath here. So when you're going to be installing, there's enough space kind of to work here, but we're going to unplug one more connector underneath so we can move the panel further back, the center console. And this is the connector, so there's a clip here. We're going to unplug it and move the center console back. So now we move the center console back, and we're going to go ahead and remove the radio. There's two bolts on each side. They're both T20. So there's one here, same on the other side. So we're going to go ahead and remove them right now. So these T20 bolts you can leave a little bit inside. That way they stay in this metal hook that holds the radio in. So like that, we're going to just tilt them out. We're gonna go ahead and remove the radio, just like that. So the first thing we're gonna do is unplug the main harness to the radio, and now we're gonna get our harness and start doing the connections. So this is the harness that comes with our kit. So we're gonna first transfer over the audio connection. So right here, these orange cables are for the audio, so we have to transfer them to our harness. So we're just gonna use our hook here and carefully lift up this clip and remove it. So now we're gonna take our harness, and first we're gonna plug in the original harness into our harness. So just like that. You gotta make sure that the original harness starts with the open position, and then you click it closed. Next step is to take the audio, and it's supposed to go on the outer edge of the harness. So there's two slots, 1 and 2. It goes on the outer edge, just like that. And make sure it's clicked in, and it is. So now we're gonna plug it in to the back of the radio. Same thing, you gotta make sure that the clip is all the way back. And just like that. This is the connection that is gonna go to our module. So we're gonna go ahead and show you the rest of the connections. So this is the harness that goes to our module. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna feed it underneath here, so that there's this plastic panel under the radio. So we're gonna go underneath it and fish it out behind it. So that way when we're putting everything back, there's nothing in the way for the radio to go back in. And we're gonna plug it in. So we're gonna leave that for now. Next thing is we're gonna remove the video cable that goes to the screen. And this is this connector, and it's even labeled underneath, but it's kind of hard to see when it's connected. So to remove it, we're gonna get with our tool here, and there's a clip here, and it comes out. As you can see here, it says DISP, so display. So this is our module, and we have the two connectors for the video connected, and they go into the cables. So we're gonna, and this is the harness that we plugged in earlier. So we're gonna do the same thing with these two video cables. We're gonna feed them underneath this plastic panel under the radio. So that way when we're putting the radio back, there's nothing in the way. Just like that. We're gonna take our pink connector and plug it in instead of the blue one that we just removed. Just like that, all the way in. And then we're gonna take the blue one and plug it into the other blue side, just like that. So now the video signal gets bypassed through our module, but everything else stays working the same. So last thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna feed the microphone. So microphone is used for voice commands. So this is the where we're gonna keep our microphone. This microphone is very sensitive, so it's okay to kind of keep it here with a closed compartment, because we don't really want to feed it or have it anywhere visible, and it's not a really good look for this type of car. So we're gonna get the cable through this whole assembly. So we're gonna lift up the corner here, and we're gonna feed it all the way through. And there's a slot at the back, just like that. So we're gonna keep this panel here because it's attached to this wire for now, and it's gonna go in one of the last things that we're gonna install back. So we're gonna first feed the wire through for the over the first shelf, and then we're gonna do what we did with the previous wires right here. We're gonna catch it on the inside. So we're pretty much feeding all the wires to this module, and our module is gonna rest here underneath. So that's why we're trying to get them over so they're not in the way of anything. So because this wire is kind of long, you can tie it up to make it neat, and we're gonna plug it in here where it says microphone or mic, just like that, so the cable is not loose everywhere. And we're gonna plug it in here So now we're gonna put the radio back, and the biggest thing is that this new added piece might be in the way. So our goal is to kind of, when we're putting the radio back, is to push that piece and so it falls in to the middle, which it did. So this way we can lock our locks. So they do lock. So we're gonna go ahead and put these two bolts back. So now the radio is installed back, and now we have these. So we have main harness that we showed you how to feed, the two video cables, and the microphone. And you just gotta make sure they kind of go in the middle, and you can maybe even zip tie them or put them around the existing cables so they're not in the way. You gotta make sure that they're not in the way of these two holes. And these are the air vents. So when we're putting the center console back, this has to be clear of any wires or anything, otherwise we're not going to be able to slide it back. So now we have to attach these two wires. They're the output wires. One is the auxiliary, which is going to feed sound, and the second one is USB. So through it you can connect your wired connections for Apple CarPlay or AndroidAuto. So right now we're inside the center console, so we're going to remove this piece right here. So you have to tilt it from the bottom and remove it. This is where we're gonna make a small hole here, and I'm gonna feed our two wires through. Over here, if you look underneath, you have kind of two open slots. So we're gonna go for the bottom one. So it's around here. And then once we've drilled the hole, we're gonna put this rubber grommet in. So we have our drill, and we have this hole maker for wood, but can be used for plastic also. So we're gonna go up about this size of a hole. So we made the hole, so we're gonna take our grommet, we're gonna get our connector through. So this is one of the bigger connectors, so we're gonna first get the connector through. We're gonna get it through the hole. And now we're gonna take our grommet and install it. So we're gonna use our hole here. So once the grommet is in place, it looks nice and tidy. So now we're gonna take our second cable, which is the auxiliary. We're gonna feed it through. So now it looks like this. Once we install it, it's going to be at the very bottom, so nobody's going to see it, and we think it looks nice and tidy. So we're going to go ahead and put these wires here. And we're going to install this panel back. As you can see, first you install the top, and then you click the bottom in, just like that. We're going to take our auxiliary, and you're also going to receive this adapter. So we're going to plug the auxiliary in, and we're going to plug it into the USB. And you can use either or, one of the original USBs. And now we're going to connect these two cables. So these are the cables that we pulled through. As you can see, there's already original hole here for this cable. So we're going to take our this is the connector for the USB for the data cable, and the auxiliary we're going to plug in. So around this harness that we showed you earlier, there's audio out, and we're going to plug it in here. At this point, we're going to connect this cable, the original cable, and now we're going to be putting the console back. And as mentioned earlier, this is where our module will stay. You got to make sure that the wires are not in the way of anything. And we're going to start putting it back. So once you laid out all the wires and the module underneath, we're going to come back to this. We showed you earlier how to do the microphone. So you're going to now lift up this panel and make sure this microphone wire is above. So we're not going to pinch it, just like that. And then this connector. So we're going to go ahead and lift up the panel, the center console I mean, and let's lift it up. And gotta make sure nothing is in the way, and it's in. So the back, now that we installed the panel on the front, as you can see, most likely you're gonna have the same thing where the wires are underneath. So we're gonna lift it up, and all the wires have to be in this middle compartment and above the metal piece. So when we're gonna install the 2 bolts back, nothing is getting pinched, just like that. And you gotta make sure that the 2 holes line up. So we're gonna go ahead and reinstall our 2 T30 bolts. Now we're gonna take this, and this one is for the gray connector. So we're gonna lift up all the wires, so we can insert it back, and it clicks back in. Over here we're gonna connect the yellow and the black, and then there's the blue one. And now we're gonna take the vents, they also have a connector, just like that. And first you put in the bottom because it has this ledge. And click everything in place. So at the front we're gonna take our centerpiece and we're gonna plug in this white connector. And now when you're putting it back, you just gotta make sure not to pinch the microphone wire, just like that. So as you can see, we have our microphone here. We're gonna kind of tuck it back in a little bit so this still moves. So now we have the 2 T30 bolts left, and they both go in here, so underneath the cup holders. So once you installed those 2 bolts, we're gonna go ahead and put the rubber piece back this way. Then the cup holders, we're gonna click it back, and then the last piece, this one. So you gotta make sure that the one with the 2 is on top. Everything clicks back. So we completed the installation, so nothing is visible except the 2 cables and the armrest. So we're gonna take our USB connection and we're gonna connect our iPhone to it. Everything on the car will stay the same way as before. Nothing has changed. You just got an added feature for Apple CarPlay and AndroidAuto. As you can see, it switched automatically to wired Apple CarPlay. So you're able to control it through the original controls. So now we connected our Android phone, and as you can see now we have AndroidAuto. And the same thing, you can control it with the original controls. And it's a standard AndroidAuto menu. So once you tested everything and make sure everything is working, now you completed the installation. I hope you liked the video, and we'll see you next time.